Hi, I'm Farata and welcome to She Gets To. She Gets To stands for helping women build the life they want to live through making conscious choices. They decide how they want to show up in their life, in their relationship, at work, at home, with friends. And it's about looking at who you are, how you show up in this world, and what parts of who you are now you are willing to move forward with, you are willing to accept, and what parts you recognize are not entirely yours. Maybe you learned some habits, some traits that you picked up with friends, family, the workplace, social media. There are a lot of places that have impacted us as women, and after a while we tend to forget that it's not per se entirely ours, and it has affected us as women. That's where the pillars come in place. It's very easy and very tempting to look outside of who you are at this very moment, and even though that's very important, how you show up in the world, I want to help you dive deeper within, because wherever you go, there you are. Let me explain just briefly some of these pillars. The first pillar is identity. From our childhood, there are certain roles, certain expectations, and some of them are quite evident, easy to understand to some degree, such as you are a child, a daughter, you might become a mother, you are a friend, you are a colleague. Those are all different things, different roles you take on as a woman. And there is nothing really special or bad about those things, not at all. That's not my message. But with those roles come certain expectations, and those expectations are partially formed by how you were raised, how the social dynamic impacted you, how you also are as a person, meaning certain personality traits, your mental health. A lot of different things can impact how you show up in these roles. And with identity, I also want to help you explore who you actually are. How do you identify yourself when you take away all those roles? This is just hypothetical. It's not like we are going to do that. Those roles are very important roles if you are in that position in life to show up in that way. What I mean is, when, for example, you are at home, you are alone, or you go for a walk, or you travel alone, you do certain things alone, do you know who you are? Do you know what you stand for? Do you know what your values are, your hobbies, the things you are scared of? Yeah, just this exploration of who you are. Another reason why I think this is very important is because when you build a very strong foundation within yourself, about yourself, it's very hard for the outside world to have a certain impact on that. It's truly something to protect. It's truly something to embrace. But that takes a lifetime to do. What I want to help you achieve is more so the practice of getting to know yourself by remaining curious about who you are. And yeah, we go through different phases in life. At some point in life, you might have liked certain things. Other times you prefer other things, and that's perfectly fine. I just hope with the help on this aspect that you don't get lost. You can get lost, don't get me wrong, but that you can find the practice within yourself to refine yourself, to reinvent. You can call it reinvent if that's what you like, but it's something very interesting. It's also something I have done a few times. to get to know myself, and I keep doing that, and it's very fascinating. Another aspect, something different, another pillar is emotions. The thing is, I'm a coach. I'm not a clinical expert or psychologist or something like that. So I will not per se use the specific terms because that's not really the playing field I want to dive into. The work I hope to do with you is more so exploring what emotions are and how they show up in your life and how it has helped you so far in life and what it has communicated with you so far. So you can truly grasp the importance, the beauty in our emotions. I know as women, there is the stereotype that, oh, women are too emotional, but at the same time, they also expect women to be the caretakers. Women take a lot of those career positions in society. So on the one hand, it's too much, but on the other hand, people can't get enough of it. It can be something difficult to navigate, but it's for sure not something to shy away from. So that's why I also chose emotions. For me, emotions have been a very good way to stay in tune with myself when something doesn't feel right, when I'm exhausted, when I'm bursting with energy, with joy, with contentment. It's not per se that I need words at that moment to say out loud. I can just feel what's going on at that very moment. There is also something very important that was very much an eye-opener. In the book, for example, The Mountain Is You, there was a section to be careful about emotions in the sense that it's not a predictor of the future. Meaning, sometimes we can say, oh, you have a bad feeling about something, and you can then spot exactly where that bad thing is going to happen. Now, it's not my place to tell you how to interpret your emotions, but it's just a small thing to mention that your beliefs are always very important in every aspect, but it really comes strongly in emotions and how you interpret it. That it's very important to talk about worthiness, and this is something so beautiful, so hard for people to truly feel that they are worthy just as is, just by being here on this earth, by being alive. Also, if you're long past you're gone, you are worthy. It's your inherent value. Nothing, nobody, no education, no job, no person, no achievement, nothing can touch that truly. That's really what I believe. Do I always believe that? I get challenged as well, and that's perfectly normal. It's so normal to question sometimes your words, but the more you embody that truth, it goes beyond anything you can truly achieve. It also gives a sense of peace, a sense of not easily swayed by the world. It takes a lot of practice. Okay, now I'm just telling you what worthiness is for me, how I see worthiness. Also, in a lot of books, a lot of videos, a lot of conversations, I hear a lot of similarities. And even though we can believe the same thing, the way it applies to me, to you, to someone else can be totally different. Because where you actually struggle gives a glimpse of where you might not feel worthy enough, where you might explore deeper. Where does this unworthiness come from? How do I get rid of this? What does this even mean? And yeah, in my work with you, I hope to explore this with you, if that's what you want, because that's the whole point. It's It's your choice. It's your choice to dive deeper. It's your choice to express certain experiences, certain feelings, certain thoughts, and what you want for yourself. Of course, journaling is something you can do. Talking to close friends is something you can do. Not think about it at all is also something you can do. I am just giving another option. I also chose boundaries as one of my pillars. It's actually a skill, and it's one of the most amazing skills I have acquired for myself the past few years. Oh, it's so liberating the moment that you can set proper boundaries for yourself, that you can express them clearly, stand firm on them. It's a sense of telling to the world, telling to yourself, I am allowed to say no. I am allowed to want certain things, expect certain things, and make the appropriate choices for myself if they are not met. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not about telling someone like, oh, if you don't do this or that, then, yeah, it's not about punishing that person. It's about a deep understanding, sometimes also a sense of sadness, to stand firm on that boundary. And it comes in all areas in life. And that's also the beauty in it. Once you learn it, for example, in your relationships, it can still remain a challenge to apply it at work. For sure, it can still be very hard in that aspect, but it's a way of standing up for yourself. And it's also a way to know your own sensitivities, to know what does make you happy, to know what takes a lot of energy. It's so revealing the moments you recognize, maybe I should put a certain boundary there. So that's something that I also feel like it's very important in the world of you get to live the life you want to live. For sure, boundaries have a place there. Now, then I have self-trust, trusting yourself. Oh, this is a hard one because it also explains in a lot of situations why we are afraid to take risks. Certainly, at some point in life, you were disappointed, you failed miserably, you got judged, people talked bad about you, you felt shame, guilt, whatever, and piece by piece, little by little, you lost trust in yourself. And that is something, it's so important to have that self-trust. What self-trust does for you, it helps you navigate life. It helps you even make wrong decisions, but know that you can find your way back. You can take a detour, you can explore different things in life, but you trust yourself enough. I will be all right. I will be fine. I will figure it out. And self-trust, people can also support you. That's very important, to be in a community, to be surrounded by people who love you, who see the best in you, who want the best for you, who bring out the best in you. All of those things are important. You are one of the people who needs to love on you, who needs to support you, who needs to guide you through all of it. And it's true what they say. When at a certain point, when your journey on this earth is over, it's you only have you in that very moment. Now, how do you build it? how do you recognize it? How does it feel to trust yourself? Those are all questions we can discuss together, explore together as well. Communication, to be able to communicate properly, clearly with someone, even with yourself, is something that's needed everywhere in life. At work, with your friends, with your partner, with your kids. When you read something, when you hear someone say something on the news and social media, sometimes the words already have the meaning within it. Sometimes you need to grasp what they mean underneath it all. Sometimes when you communicate, you might say things with a certain tone. You might use a word that doesn't fully grasp what you really want to say. But also communication, I just explained a bit broadly, but it also ties with the other pillars. Because the moment someone says something about who you are as a person, your identity, when you can communicate properly, you can get your message across properly, and you also know who you are. No, you get to say to that person, or internally, oh no, you don't know me like that, or you think you have it wrong. So that is just an example to tell you a bit about communications. Another one of my pillars is accountability. Accountability is one people tend to shy away from. Accountability has like that taste of shame, of guilt, of blame, of, oh, ask forgiveness forever. No. Accountability, for me, has the meaning of acknowledging, truly understanding what you did wrong for yourself, so maybe why you did that thing wrong. And also sitting a bit with that realization and deciding on how to move forward. What do you want to change for that not to happen again? How do you want to show up? With accountability, it doesn't mean that someone will necessarily forgive you. But with accountability, in my opinion, it's very important at some point in that process to forgive yourself. Meaning, you grasp what went wrong, what part you played in what went wrong. You decide on how you want to move forward, and you forgive yourself. You are human. You're a woman. This is also your first time on this earth. Like, trust yourself. You can move past that. Another important thing I found about accountability is that it's empowering. So instead of that feeling of shame, guilt, yeah, it can feel a little bit like that in the beginning. But for me, at a certain point, it feels, oh, but I get to change that moving forward. I get to do that differently. And that's something I find so, it's liberating in a way, because the fact that you wake up another day and you're still here and you are capable of making new choices with knowledge from the past, how amazing is that? And with that comes the growth and wisdom. So for me, accountability is very empowering, and maybe it can be for you too. And it takes exploring how, at this very moment, you already navigate that accountability part. What you do with it, what decisions do you make, how do you define it for yourself? Maybe that process that I mentioned looks a bit different for you. That's perfectly fine. So that's something I'm also very excited to work on with you together. So that was a short introduction of how I decided on my brand, She Gets You, and how I want to help women make their own choices in life by focusing on different aspects that I believe will help you navigate your own process of making choices that you have thought through, that you stand by, and that help you create, build the life you love. Thank you so much for watching.